Welcome to episode 143, Spotlight Personnel Screening, where we explore how verifying the trustworthiness of individuals before granting access aligns human risk with organizational responsibility. The PS-3 control reminds us that insider threats and access misuse often originate not from malice alone, but from insufficient vetting. Screening ensures that the people operating, maintaining, or accessing sensitive systems meet the integrity expectations appropriate to their roles. It sets a consistent foundation of confidence before credentials are issued or responsibilities are assigned. When implemented thoughtfully, screening protects both the organization and the individual, ensuring that trust begins upstream, before access is ever granted. From there, employment history and reference validation provide practical context for assessing reliability. Reviewing prior roles confirms that resumes accurately represent experience, responsibilities, and tenure. Speaking with references offers insight into an individual's performance, professionalism, and conduct. For example, verifying that a candidate managed privileged systems responsibly in a previous position reassures hiring managers of competence and trustworthiness. Consistent reference checks also help identify unexplained gaps or discrepancies. This process is not about suspicion, but about alignment, ensuring that what is claimed matches what is true. Reliability built through validation prevents misplaced trust and future regret. Building further, confirming education, licenses, and certifications reinforces technical and professional credibility. Degrees, credentials, and training claims must be substantiated through direct verification with issuing institutions. For example, a security engineer listing an advanced certification should provide the credential ID, allowing verification through the certifying body's portal. These checks ensure that specialized roles requiring qualification, such as healthcare or legal compliance, are staffed by individuals who genuinely meet standards. Verification also prevents credential inflation, where unverified claims distort competency assessments. Upholding these checks protects organizational integrity and preserves professional fairness for those who earned their credentials honestly. From there, criminal background checks, conducted within lawful boundaries, address potential threats to safety, integrity, or compliance. The goal is not exclusion for its own sake, but informed risk management. Screening should be relevant to the position's duties. For instance, financial roles might emphasize fraud or embezzlement history, while data custodianship roles focus on prior privacy violations. Checks must observe fairness principles, offering individuals opportunities to explain or contest findings. Applying consistent, documented criteria avoids bias and ensures equal treatment. Responsible criminal checks strike the balance between protecting organizational assets and respecting human dignity. Building upon ongoing assurance, rescreening becomes essential when role changes or significant time lapses occur. A promotion, transfer to a high-privilege position, or extended absence may warrant renewed verification. For example, a staff member moving from an administrative assistant role to one with access to financial systems should undergo an updated screening appropriate to the elevated risk. Periodic rescreening, every few years or at major milestones, confirms that previous assumptions about integrity and eligibility still hold. This practice keeps trust current rather than static, ensuring that organizational access remains supported by up-to-date evidence. From there, contractor and vendor personnel must adhere to the same screening standards as internal employees when their work involves access to systems, data, or facilities. Contracts should explicitly require equivalent background verification and documentation from the supplier. For instance, a managed service provider performing system maintenance must submit proof that its technicians meet the organization's screening requirements. Extending these expectations across partners closes a critical gap where external personnel could bypass internal safeguards. Unified standards ensure that everyone granted access, regardless of employer, passes through the same gates of trust and accountability. Building further, privacy safeguards for screening data protect individuals throughout the process. Collected personal information, identifiers, records, or verification results must be stored securely, accessed only by authorized staff, and retained no longer than necessary. Encryption, access controls, and retention schedules prevent misuse or unauthorized disclosure. For example, storing screening reports in a dedicated human resources platform under strict access policies preserves confidentiality. Privacy protections maintain the moral and legal integrity of the process. When individuals know their information is handled responsibly, screening fosters cooperation rather than resistance, strengthening transparency and mutual trust. From there, exceptions, appeals, and adverse action records ensure fairness when screening outcomes raise concerns. An exception process allows management to weigh context and compensating factors, such as rehabilitation or job relevance, before disqualifying a candidate. Appeals provide individuals an avenue to contest inaccurate or outdated information. Adverse action records document how decisions were reached and who approved them, creating accountability. For instance, if a candidate disputes a background report's accuracy, records should show how the claim was investigated and resolved. Structured fairness protects both individual rights and organizational integrity, demonstrating that security and justice coexist in the same process. Building on transparency, evidence of screening activity must be retained with detail and accuracy. Documentation should include screening results, reviewer names, timestamps, and decision outcomes. For example, a completed background report might be logged with the date reviewed, the assessor's signature, and the decision justification. These records support audits, demonstrate compliance, and allow traceability if future issues arise. Maintaining this evidence securely ensures that screening remains verifiable long after hiring decisions conclude. Clear documentation transforms screening from a procedural formality into an accountable control with measurable integrity. From there, metrics such as completion timeliness and coverage rates reveal how well the screening program operates. Completion timeliness tracks how quickly screenings are performed relative to hiring deadlines, while coverage measures the percentage of roles or individuals screened according to policy. For example, achieving 100% completion for high-risk roles before onboarding signals program maturity. Trends in rescreening adherence or appeal resolution times indicate operational efficiency and fairness. By quantifying these factors, leadership can identify bottlenecks, allocate resources, and refine standards. Metrics elevate screening from administrative oversight to continuous improvement informed by data. In closing, trustworthy access begins long before credentials are issued. It begins with verifying the people behind them. The PS-3 control reinforces that screening is not about distrust, but about aligning risk with responsibility. By validating identity, qualifications, and history within legal and ethical boundaries, organizations build a workforce grounded in confidence and accountability. Screening transforms hiring from a transactional act into a foundational security control, shaping a culture of integrity from the very first interaction. When trust is earned deliberately, the systems and missions that depend on it stand on solid ground. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.